Hey everyone, good morning. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay because I don't think the speakers on these headphones is very good. Let me actually remove that. Hold on. Just want to make sure you can hear me. So, some of you probably saw the video I posted yesterday. At that time, there was still some hope, and we were all praying for a miracle. Unfortunately, that miracle didn't happen. But I'm okay with that. God is sovereign, and He can turn all things. Doesn't even feel right saying that right now, but it is what it is. I didn't know what to do, so I actually drove all the way up to Jacksonville to go to church. I went with my friend, and I got there late, and it was absolutely packed, and we couldn't find parking, and we had to go to a friend's house and park at her house, and she drove us there. But we were determined because we just needed to be around people and just to worship a little bit and be with God. Surrounded by people who knew God, because God's where I am, even right now. I'm still heartbroken, still crying. I'm not quite sure why this has affected me so deeply. I think it's because as someone who puts herself out there, obviously my audience is like 2 people, I don't have a big audience like Charlie, but I put myself out there, and for what I believe is the betterment of humanity and the world, and the thought that I don't even want to say hatred, because what is going on today is beyond hatred. And I don't know if there's anyone listening to me right now, but let me know. Yeah, see, I just saw a slow connection. Let me know if you can hear me okay, because connection around here is not that great. But I'm out for a walk because that's what I do to process, walk or run. My brother is the same way. Hatred is not a sufficient and proper word to describe what is going on. Evil is the right word. This has surpassed hatred. This has become in alignment with evil. And I find it absolutely hypocritical. I was going to use the word ironic, but I don't think the word ironic fits here. I find it absolutely hypocritical that those who yell for tolerance and inclusivity are the same people who resort to violence to silence others they don't agree with. That is neither tolerant or inclusive. That is tyranny. And there are politicians who have come out who oppose Charlie Kirk's side. I'll use that because I don't know how to say it. His views, they don't like his views. Politicians who have come out to condemn these kinds of acts of violence. You know what I have to say? Shut up and sit down because you're done. That's what I have to say. Because I'm sick and tired of hearing them say that. After every single event, they post the same shit. They say the same words. And then in the next breath, they make divisive and violent statements. They set people off with their adjectives and descriptions of people they don't agree with. And then they say, oh, wait, guys, but no, let's not be violent. These are the people who say things like, we have to get up in them streets and raise up our fists and our elbows. These are the same people who think that because someone they oppose used profanity once or twice in a statement and people applauded it, they now use profanity every other word, thinking that's going to work. But let me tell you something. The use of words is powerful when they're limited and used when appropriate. Okay? Stupidity tells you that, oh, yes, let me use a curse word every other word. Listen, yesterday I used lots of curse words because the situation merited it. But I didn't go in public. I'm not a politician and ran my mouth celebrating and justifying the death of human life. Let me tell you something. There are so many people who are on the fence, who just didn't know. And all you did was push them over the fence to the other side. You literally poked a bear. And I don't know what it's going to look like after this. But I can tell you that there are going to be many. That dude has multiplied. And I'm going to draw a comparison here that some of you are probably going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe you're drawing that comparison. But it is the truth. And not just the truth for him, but so many people who have lived their life with purpose. When Jesus died, he said, I have to go. And the reason Jesus had to go was because he was one man. And in his death, he talks about this. The seeds are planted and many seeds come from one plant, one fruit. But in order for the seed to come out, death needs to happen. Now, let me tell you something. I don't believe that God wanted Charlie Kirck to die. I do not believe that it was his day to go. I believe that human had a choice, and the laws of the world, of the earth that God created, took shape, and God allowed it. He did not intervene physically. I don't understand why. I have literally seen my ass get saved physically. I had a pew-pew to my head one day, and the trigger was pulled, and nothing happened. Then it went up, the trigger was pulled, and it came out. I know God can intervene. I've seen it. I've seen a car flying literally go through my car. I've seen miracles. And man, was I hoping for one yesterday, because the video I saw, I knew like there is no surviving that physically. But then when we heard he was alive, I had hope. And it's just so sad. I know that for me, it is just morning. It has emboldened me. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you how or what I'm going to do, but I can tell you that I've been planning for such a long time. And I have so many things in the works. And I need to process all this. But this changed me. And then let's talk about the other significance of the day. The anniversary of 9/11. Now, there are so many conspiracies to what happened 24 years ago. And I don't know where I stand with all of that, but I will tell you this. I don't give two craps. I'm going to tell you why. Because the significance of this day is not impacted by any of those things. I lived in New Jersey. My brother was in high school. And from the high school, you could see Manhattan. They could see these kids in high school, could see what happened. I, at the time, lived in an office where we could see downtown. We could see the buildings. And when I found out that the first building was hit, I was at my desk, I remember. Someone came in. We went into our library that had a TV. It was the only TV at that time that we had. Now there's like TVs everywhere, but at that time it was the only TV. And we saw the news. At the moment, we didn't know, was it an accident? We didn't know what was going on. We just knew like, holy crap. And obviously we had gone to New York, like all of us. So we know how tall those buildings are. We know the implication of something like that happening. And as we were there in the library watching the news and watching the TV, we decided to go up to the third floor to a corner conference room where we had a direct line of sight to the skyline so that we could see. And we saw the second building fly in, the second plane fly in. Phones were down, couldn't call anyone, didn't know what was going on. Were we safe? We were so close to this. And they, at work, they told us all to go home. My drive from the office to my home, I literally drove along the Meadowlands, which has a direct line of sight of the skyline the entire ride. And there's a large portion where it's a clear view. There's nothing in the way. I have the radio on. I was listening to 100.3. I think Z Morning Zoo was still on, Elvis Duran. Yes, because I remember Christine's voice. And I was driving, there's like this big cemetery on the other side of the road, and then on the side of the skyline, there was this, I don't remember if it was done already, but they built like a whole soccer thing. So it was all open, and, you know, there was like a chain link fence, but you could see through it. And they started freaking out on the radio because the building was falling. And I look over and I see with my own 2 eyeballs the building fall. Now, at this time, I am 20 years old. I had just turned 20. I was still young. And it was a very beautiful day. The sky was very clear and blue. So it was all clear. Everyone looking up in the sky, fearing planes, fearing flying objects. We didn't know what was gonna come next. And what was worse, that a lot of people don't know, is a couple nights before, I had a dream that very thing happened. So I'm this 20-year-old kid who had a dream. The dream is happening in real life, and I'm confused. What the heck was I supposed to do? Like, was I supposed to do something? Was I supposed to say? Was I supposed to pray in a different way? Like, what was I supposed to do? And for days, I barely slept. I watched the news for days on end. I was so confused by the whole thing. And in that moment, Americans came together. And in our area, like, everyone came together. This was a collective travesty, and everyone could agree that it was atrocious. And we were united. And we were united for a while. And I can pinpoint when the divisiveness began. I can. I'm not going to say it on a public platform. I will share my opinion in private conversation where discussions can happen and nuance can be discussed. But I can tell you, when America took a turn to where it is now, and it's just gotten worse and worse and worse, to the point where an obviously horrible and evil act has taken place, and we have not come together. There has actually been celebration, justification from the same people who protest for inclusivity and tolerance. And I'm going to say this here, and I'm going to say it loud and proud. I mentioned yesterday, a few years ago, I made the choice to not talk politics because of how divisive it is. And I am not talking politics right now. I am talking about beliefs, ideas, freedom of speech. This is why Charlie Kirk's assassination has hit me so hard, because of the violation of free speech. The message that was sent is either you shut up or you will die. And Conservative Ant said this, and I will mimic what he said. Bet. Because now I will not shut up. I won't. I'm going to be louder than I ever was before. I will be more provocative. So you're going to see a change here on my social media platforms, on the platforms that allow me the freedom of speech, that allow me to share my thoughts, my ideas, and my opinions. And I will do it loud and proud because I know that I desire to make this world a better place, and I will do what I can to accomplish that purpose. And I will do it with love, and I will do it with compassion, but I will no longer compromise my views because it may feel controversial. This is what's happening. We can't even talk anymore. We can't have conversation. Someone was celebrating what happened and said, when you live by the sword, you die by the sword. That was the most asinine thing I have ever heard. Because what sword was Charlie Kirk yielding? His words. And what sword did he die by? The sword of cowardice. You can't win with the sword he was using. So you decided to be a coward. Feet away. Can't even be in the crowd. A coward from far away. And now what are you doing? You're running with your tail between your legs like an ass. Like the coward that you are. And everyone who is celebrating this, include yourself here. You preach and protest about hate speech, and you're celebrating the death of a human being, a father, because you don't like his opinions? Like, let's have a moment. Come and join me. I'm not at the table today. We're on a walk here. But please, take a moment. Do we not see the hypocrisy? Do we not see it? You preach against hate speech, but you're celebrating the death, the assassination, the murder of another human being. And not because he hurt you, not because he did anything to you, not because he was a criminal, but because you didn't like what he believed. Listen, there were things that Charlie Kirk believed that I don't believe. I'm a Christian, but I had some different theology than him. Okay, there were times I would hear him and I'd be like, oh, Charlie, you know? But he wasn't hurting anybody. And he was a very, very, very intelligent person. No one can deny this. And I think that the proof is in the pudding. Because that's why they offed him. Because they were afraid of his intelligence. They were afraid of his ability to communicate his thoughts. And it is absolute cowardice. Violence is cowardice unless, I have an unless here, unless it must be used to defend against violence. Because some people only know how to use violence. They will never use any other way. And the only way to defeat that violence is through the use of force. But violence that is used to silence, to intimidate, is cowardice. When it's done at a distance, when it's done in the dark, when you can't show your face after you've done it, you are the biggest coward there is. If you think you're so big, mighty, and strong, why don't you lift up your hands and say, hey, it was me. I did it. I took out that man. But no, cowards don't have that. Charlie Kirck was courageous. He was brave. And the people, I'm going to say people because I believe it was absolutely orchestrated and planned by professionals, and there were multiple people involved, maybe not direct shooter, but people involved. They are the cowards because they don't even have the courage to stand up for what they believe. They want to silence those who don't believe the same, but they don't have the courage to stand up for what they believe. And you want me to tell you what that means? That means they don't even know what they believe. Because when you truly believe something, nothing anyone says intimidates your belief. You know, a lot of times what happens is, like, even Christians, Mike and I have this problem because I don't even like calling myself a Christian. Christians, I feel like, give me a bad name. I follow Jesus. I am a daughter of God. That's who I am. And I identify as someone made in God's image. And I believe that everyone is made in the image and likeness of God. That does not mean I believe that everyone is blameless or can do whatever they want. Just because you're made in the image of God, that's who you are at the core, doesn't mean you live that way and doesn't mean that you reflect who God is. And there are a lot of Christians, let me tell you, that do not reflect the nature of God in any form or fashion. And I don't personally know Charlie Kirck, but what I can tell you is from what I saw, because I would watch his clips because I value debate, and I'll speak on that in a second. When I would see his clips, I saw a man who was doing what he did out of love. There were times where he would be talking to someone and they brought up a good point. And he would stop and think and be like, good point. And he would think and he would speak. And there were times where he could see why the person believed what they believed. He had compassion for it. And he would simply say, listen, you don't have to agree with me. Just take the next week or so and ask yourself this question. He didn't force anyone to believe. He just wanted people to think. And in that way, I think this is why it's affected me so much. I am that way. I ask questions because I think questions get us to stop and think. And I believe a lot of us, including Christians, have these beliefs about God and the world and ourselves that we were taught not out of malice, but just out of misunderstanding. And the different belief systems don't line up. They don't make sense with each other. And then this is why people get into a crisis of faith, or they start to doubt, or they have issues, and then they kind of lose their faith and they don't know why. Well, it's because what you believe doesn't line up. Like one of the dominoes isn't lined up right. And we need to take the time to line up our dominoes right. And I believe questions do that. I went through a phase where I questioned every single thing I believe. And that's what I want to lead to with Charlie is debate. When I was in college, I had a speech class. And in my speech class, there was an assignment we had to do where we had to debate. And we had to debate, basically, it was, a controversial topic. And I picked the death penalty. But what I did different, and I got extra credit for this, what I did different from everyone else was I debated twice, and I debated both sides. So I did a debate against, and I did a debate for. Does that mean that I don't have an opinion, or I didn't have an opinion at the time? No, it doesn't. It just means that I was educated enough to understand both sides. And I have my own beliefs and my own morals and my foundation that I could then choose which I agreed with. But I could understand both sides. That is who I am. Okay, on all my platforms, everything that I do, that is who I am as a person. I always seek to understand. I always seek to know, why does that person think that way? Why do they believe that way? And I'm going to tell you, not just to understand the other person, but I truly believe that it's how we grow. It's how we learn. We can learn from one another. Difference of opinion shouldn't threaten our belief, because if we really believe something, nothing can threaten it. But if someone says something that causes us to shake a little bit, I think it's worth considering. I think it's worth asking, why does this bother me so much? Why does it shake me so much? Because maybe, just maybe, I believe something that's not quite true. See, I'm not bothered by that. So many people are. I'm not. It's just the way I am. And I understand it's uncomfortable, but it's why I appreciated Charlie, because he didn't let other people's difference of opinion or him being yelled at or whatever threaten his belief. He was solid in it. He got it. And you may not be in that place right now, and that's fine. But I think we all need to get to a place where we can be confident in our belief. We can be firm on the foundation of which we stand. Because circumstances shouldn't knock us down. What happened yesterday wrecked me. I was still crying this morning. But I'm not broken in the sense of I'm lost of hope. No, I'm sad because a human life was taken, and one that was very valuable and changing culture. That's so monumental. I appreciate it. Brene Brown wrote a book, and she used a quote that, I don't know the quote by memory, but it talks about the man in the arena, and it's a quote by, I don't even remember who. I'm horrible with this stuff. But Charlie Kirck was someone who was in the arena. And most of the people attacking him were people who were in the stands. Nice, safe, and secure. Many keyboard warriors. Many people not even willing to have conversation. Just cursing and insulting and name-calling. He was in the arena. And in some ways, I'm in the arena, but nowhere near the level this dude was at. So I appreciate it, because in the little level of the arena I'm in, I get it. And there's, listen, we're talking about Charlie Kirk. People associate him with the right, who is clearly Republican. Not even going to deny that. There's people who I've heard on the left lately, people who are not well known that I've heard speak. And I'm not even talking about the mayoral candidate, Mondami or whatever his name is. Because the reality is, I've heard some young Democratic speakers who, impressive, really impressive. And that's why I find it a shame that Mondami, or whatever his name is, is the one running, because people seem like, oh, he's so good with his words. Like, actually, he's not. He makes no sense half the time. He talks in circles. There's no plan, lots of ideals, but no ability to actually execute what he wants to do. Doesn't listen to the people. But then you have these other Democrats, young guys, and one of them actually was a female, so eloquent, has legit ideas. Why are those people not being promoted? No, because right now, it's about, the goal is not about making America better. The goal is to destroy the op. I've talked about this for years. Your goal in life can never be about who you don't want to be. If you don't want to be like your mother, your goal can't be, I don't want to be like my mother. If your mother was not patient, then your goal should be, I want to be patient. If your mother didn't listen to you or allow you to be open about things because they didn't agree, your goal should be, I want to be compassionate and I want to listen to people. This, like I said in the beginning, I'm going to end this here because it's been so long. I'm probably going to cut it and make shorter videos just so that people actually listen to what I'm saying. Because, like I said, I've been emboldened by this situation. Hatred is too soft of a word for what is happening. It's evil. It's demonic. And I have, like, even on that front, like demons and stuff, like, I have some different views from people. I don't look around and see demons everywhere. I don't attribute demonic activity to people's actions. I'm not the type of person who believes that all mental illness is demonically driven. I believe in free will. I believe in choice. I believe that people are responsible for their behaviors and their words. And so I say all that to like magnify that when I say what's happening right now is demonic, it's because there's no other word. Because hatred is too soft. Hatred is too soft. This morning I posted a quote that basically says, when you cut someone's tongue, when you try to silence someone, all it does is it shows the fear that basically you know what they're saying is right and you're afraid people are going to believe it. When you go out of your way to shut people up in a violent way, you're showing that you don't really believe what you do and you're worried people are gonna believe what they are, but you have an agenda. I've gone through hell, and this whole situation, it has emboldened me. Like, I'm gonna start sharing my story because I'm out of it now, so whatever. I've gone through hell in all sorts of ways. It was very few times that I actually said something publicly. And when I did it with intention. I did it for a reason. Even this video, it's intentional. It's for a reason. I'm not just ranting. I mean, I'm processing what I'm saying. It's not like I planned everything I'm saying, but I really didn't believe that I had to defend myself, because I don't believe the truth needs to be defended. The truth needs to be spoken. The truth needs to be lived. The truth does not need to be defended. And oh, by the way, Christians, we are not called to defend our beliefs. We are not called to defend the Bible. We are not called to defend God. We are called to preach the gospel of the good news. And the reality is, you shouldn't have to silence someone else. We should be able to have discourse where we discuss ideas, and the other person's idea shouldn't threaten what you believe, but you should be able to articulate why you believe what you believe. Unfortunately, nowadays, there are many Christians who are able to articulate why they don't believe something, but are not able to articulate why they believe something. And in debate, you must know both. You must know both. But more than the other side, you need to know your own side. You need to know what you believe. It's the only way to properly debate, because it doesn't matter what someone throws at you. Maybe you've never thought of it, but because your conviction is so founded on truth, that you've processed it, you've thought about it, you know exactly why you believe it, you'll always be able to defend it. You know what I mean? Always, because you can state where you stand. So I'm almost home. I don't know how long I've been talking. How long is this thing? I can't even see. It's hard to see comments, guys, because of the sun. Yes, Shawnee, great. There is a vigil tonight in Neptune Beach, Florida. There is also one in Southwest Florida. If you or someone you know knows of any others that are being held around Florida specifically, if you guys can share that with me, and I'll post it, and then maybe I'll do a post where I just put them all out there, and depending where you go. Shani, I don't know if I'm gonna go. I actually drove all the way up to Jacksonville yesterday to go to church, because I was a mess, and I just needed to be around other believers. And one of the Will Robertson was there, and he was speaking. Lisa, Shani, I'm pretty sure you know Lisa Turkhurst is. She's going to be at 1122 in Jacksonville on Saturday. I haven't decided if I'm going to be there yet or not. But, yeah, I have a lot of stuff going on, but I don't know. I have to think through all of it. But yeah, guys, I know some of you have probably been here the whole time, so thank you for being here. Some of you just jumped on, and then I'm probably going to cut this up into different clips and put it on my YouTube channel. I'm done. It's, I'm not called to participate in politics as of right now. I thought I was going to earlier this year with some things that were going on, and just didn't, when I had time, just wasn't right now. I do feel maybe in the future, but not right now. But something's going to change. That I can feel. Something shifted yesterday for sure. I don't know, guys. This is crazy. This is like, what is happening with the world, My husband's seeing me cry constantly, asking me if I'm okay. And I've cried about different things that have nothing to do with me. Like the whole Micah Miller thing. Like, I think about that every day too. I'm not following it as much. But I follow it pretty closely, and like, I have a purpose. So when things like this happen, it just really makes me sad and mad. I'm not gonna lie. Right now I'm feeling sad, I think, because I'm walking, so it kind of helped a little bit. But I was very angry yesterday. I was angry, and I have to admit, like, all week, I've felt that way. All week, I've been like so, like, almost like indignantly angry and filled with rage of the evil in the world. I'm not gonna lie, like, for real. It's like sometimes I can feel these things. It's just like the story I was telling you about 9/11. Like, it's just weird. Like, this is the thing. I'm not the normal prophetic type person. You know, I'm not the, like, thus saith the Lord, I hear. No, I just know things. Like, I know things. One of my other daughters is like that too. And it's a blessing, but it's a curse. Because you just, oh my gosh, you feel the weight of things. Like, I feel the weight. I just want to, like, show you guys this, because this kind of stuff brings me peace. Hold on. This just like a retention, but we've had a lot of water. And I know the video doesn't really give it justice, but this is why I go for walks around here, because it's so beautiful. That's why I love Florida, because it's so beautiful. But I gotta go to work now, guys. I have lots of things to do. I don't know, I'm gonna